Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to show a tarot deck that is based on the Thoth tarot. And the deck is called the LiberTTarot deck. Here is the box. And there is a subtitle for the deck called Tarot of Stars Eternal. And this was published in 2004 by Scarabeo, and the artwork is by Andrea, Serio. And it's a very interesting deck. It's one of the few tarot decks that I like and that I own that is based on the Thoth deck. It's called Liber because the Book of Thoth was sometimes called Liber by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And there's a bit of a debate that goes on in esoteric circles about whether Liber was referring to the Book of Thoth or the Book of Tarot. They're kind of T standing for either Thoth or Tarot is a bit of an interchangeable title with Liber because the original Book of Thoth that was written by Samuel Mathers was also referred to as the Book of Tarot as well as Book of Thoth. So here is the box. And on the cover of the box, it's actually showing the Three of Spheres cards, which is the same as Pentacles. And as you can tell by the box, the pips in this deck are scenic. So this is really a Thoth-inspired deck in that way, because a Thoth deck always has non-scenic pips. But it is very much inspired by the Thoth deck. So here is the box. And when I show you some of the major arcana cards, you'll be able to see just how closely this deck has really tried to capture the artwork of the Thoth deck. It really does capture the essence of the deck, even though there are scenic pips. It's one of the only decks that I have seen that captures the essence of the Crowley deck in the best authentic way. So here is the back of the cards. It has the Justice card on the back, and you can see just how closely this one resembles the Justice card in the Thoth deck. The cardstock is quite good, and it's the typical Scarabeo cardstock, but I think, from what I can tell, I think around the time that this was published in 2004, I think that the cardstock was actually a little bit better then. So here's the back of the cards. So I'm going to start with the Empress card. I really love the artwork of this deck. I think it captures a very similar essence to the Frida Harris artwork, but it also has its own contemporary kind of style. So here is the Empress card. It has the Roman numerals on the major arcana cards, and it also has the planets and the signs for the cards according to the Golden Dawn associations as well, so that's good. So there's the Empress card. High Priestess. The Hierophant. This card is just called Fortune, as I'm fairly sure it's called in the Crowley Thoth as well. The colours are quite beautiful in the deck. This is Lust. Which is the Strength card, but it was called Lust in the Crowley Thoth deck. Death card. I love the pale green borders too. They're not intrusive at all, and the pale green colour blends in really well with the artwork. Art. So this is the Temperance card that is called Art in the Crowley Thoth deck. And Crowley saw this as alchemy, and you can really see the alchemy theme in this image. Devil. Tower. The Star. The Moon. I really see this deck as a tribute deck. I know that the Major Arcana cards are very similar to the Crowley Thoth deck, but I really do feel the tribute in the artwork of this deck. And the Universe, which is the World card, but called the Universe in the Crowley Thoth deck, and so the same in this LiberTTarot deck. So there are some of the very beautiful Major Arcana cards. Now for the pips, which are scenic. I'll give you an example of some of these pip cards. So here is now instead of Ace of Wands, this is the Ace of Sceptres. So this is a variation of the Thoth deck. It has the fire symbol at the top, but it's called Sceptres for this suit instead of Wands. So the Ace of Sceptres, the Eight of Sceptres, and it has the planets at the top of the card, the planet and the star sign. So all of these are the Golden Dawn associations. The Eight of Sceptres, which is the Eight of Wands. And this design is quite close to the Eight of Wands card of the Crowley Thoth. And the Prince of Sceptres. So the court cards are the same as the Crowley Thoth as well. There is Queen, Knight, Prince and Princess. So this is the Prince of Sceptres. It's a beautiful card. I really like this card. Really captures the fire element. So it's a beautiful card. And it has the fire symbol at the top of the card. Now for cups. Ace of Cups. I love the colours of this deck. The Two of Cups. Now you can see some scenery here. Instead of just two cups, there is extra imagery in the cards. Two of Cups. And a beautiful Queen of Cups. Now for swords. The Ace of Swords. In this whole deck, there's only a couple of cards that I don't particularly like. And what I mean by that is there are a couple of cards of the pips that I don't think the scenery, the background scenery is quite appropriate for the imagery of a couple of the pip cards. Ace of Swords, the Two of Swords, The other thing I would say about some of the pip cards as well is that they have a rather erotic feel. So if anyone is a little bit sensitive to some erotic imagery, they may not like that about some of the pips, some of the pip cards in the deck, some of the scenic pip cards. So I want to mention that in case people are interested in getting the deck, just to be mindful of that, because they may find a few of the scenic pip cards to be a little bit distasteful or inappropriate. Two of Swords. I think overall it's quite a beautiful deck, but they are the only misgivings that I want to mention. And the Princess of Swords. You know, it really is. I think overall it is quite a beautiful deck, and I think it's really well done. It's the only deck that is based on the Crowley Thoth that I think captures the essence of the Crowley Thoth deck, and I think it's quite a beautiful attempt, and I think the artwork is really lovely. I love the colours. I just think a few of the scenic pip cards could have been done a bit differently, that's all. But there are no other Crowley Thoth clone decks or Crowley Thoth based decks that I like. This is the only one. So, Princess of Swords, which is the equivalent of the Page of Swords. And now for the spheres. So the Ace of Spheres instead of Pentacles. The Four of Spheres. You can see by the imagery on this card that it really is quite different. There's a bit of a fantasy art feel with this as well. But I suppose you would think of it as esoteric fantasy art. So the Four of Spheres and a beautiful Princess of Spheres. And it has the earth element symbol on the cards. So the Princess of Spheres is the same as the Page of Spheres or Pentacles. And these cards have a semi-gloss. It's more of it's a matte finish, but it's like, I'm calling it semi-gloss because it's only got a slight shine, but it's also matte enough not to be too shiny. So there's some of the cards of the LiberTTarot deck by Scarabeo. I think it is still available, but it was published in 2004. So for anyone who's interested, I'll put details below the video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.